So we usually teach this in 6th grade. This is one of our intro to drawing lessons. It should be review. Hopefully in elementary you had an opportunity to start learning how to draw 3D forms. I want to put in a disclaimer here because this can be kind of frustrating, and I've been kind of delaying teaching this one on a video because this is one of the ones where a lot of times we get frustrated, and I need you guys to remember that you're skill building, you're learning something new, and part of that process is discomfort. It gets frustrating when you can't get something the first time or the first 10 times. And some of you might just not be quite ready to see the depth and the perspective in the 3D drawing. So don't get down on yourself. At CCA, we talk about mindfulness, and this is one of the perfect times to employ those mindful breathing techniques that we learn about. When you start to get frustrated, and if you're in tune with yourself and you can feel yourself getting frustrated, maybe your heart's going faster, or you're clenching your fist, or you're starting to feel like you want to quit. Those are all signs that you are pushing your boundaries. You're opening up new areas and you're learning new things, and it's frustrating. So take a minute, take a breath, go get a drink of water, watch a video on it, maybe find somebody else teaching a video on it that might be teaching in a different way than me that works easier for you. But be persistent. Persistence is one of the things that I really teach my 6th graders, and it's important because if you've been working on a drawing for 2 weeks and you mess something up, you can't just rip it up and start over. I mean, you could, but that would be crazy talk. So, your skill building, imperfect progress. As long as you're seeing some improvement, you're good, okay? So geometric shapes that we learn to draw in art are the same as the geometric shapes that you learn in math, and you're going to be surprised how much math terminology that we use with drawing a cube. So a cube is the 3D counterpart of a square. So you're going to start out with a square, and when you talk about 3D, the third dimension is depth. Okay, so depth is how far something goes back into space. And when you're an artist or you're trying to learn how to draw things, including the depth is what gives you the realism that you're starting to crave when you're 11, 12 years old. You know, you want your drawings to look real. Well, this is the element that brings that reality, that look of reality in a drawing, because what you're trying to do with a drawing is you're trying to recreate what you see in the real world. And so you have to draw it as it exists in the real world, even though it is not three-dimensional. You're creating the illusion of 3D with your drawing. And by adding depth, you can start to do that. So starting with a square, 4 equal sides. Make the nicest, neatest square you can. If you start out with a square that looks like this, you're going to automatically be giving yourself frustration because it's important to take your time and do high quality work. This part you should definitely know how to do. So no problems there. Okay. Step 2. In math, you learned angles. Okay. So we're going to do a right angle at a 45-degree angle. You can do left as well. It's the same exact process. And what you're looking for is that you're creating 3 angles that are exactly the same. If they're not 45 degrees perfect, you know, it's okay. As long as your 3 angles are the same. So you're going to start at one of the corners of your cube, doesn't matter which one, and you're going to make an angle. Try to shoot for that 45 degrees. If it's not perfect, it's okay. Now, this next angle, you want it to be the exact same angle as this. So that's called parallel, also another math term. Okay, so when things are parallel, they should run forever and ever and never cross each other. Okay, so if one of your angles is off a little bit, your lines will not be parallel. Okay, so I'm going to do it wrong here. So if this angle is like this, then these would cross, right? If I follow that out. So I want to make this one and this one and this one the same. Now, if you really want to be persnickety about it, try to make all your angles the same length too. So this one, and this one, all the same length. All right. But having said that, if they're not, it's okay. what we're going to do for the third step is we're going to make a horizontal line. Okay, a horizontal line this direction. Okay, so we have diagonal, horizontal, and vertical lines that we're going to be using today. Your horizontal line should be parallel to this line. Okay, so you have the top of your box and the back of your box. This is where the box is closer to you. This is where the box is farther away. Then for step 4, you're going to add your vertical line. Now vertical has to be straight up and down. This isn't vertical. This isn't vertical. Those are diagonals. Okay. So your vertical line, if you took your time and made a nice box, it might be diagonal, but hopefully it's not. If you took your time and made a nice square, this line and this line should be parallel. The number one mistake that I help kids correct is connecting the end of this line with the end of this line. We have a tendency to want to do that. It's just a connect the dots tendency. We want everything to line up, but we're not trying to make it line up. We're trying to make it be visually correct. So this line and this line should be parallel, the same as these two. Okay. So even if this line goes all the way out here, we're not connecting the ends of those two lines. We are making a vertical line that's parallel to this line right here. Some of you may have learned a different, oops, I moved my paper. Can't move my paper when I'm trapped at the table. Okay. Some of you may have learned a technique to make a cube where you make a square and then you start in the center of that square and you make another square. And you connect those lines. Okay, this gives you a ice cube kind of see-through glass box, and it is correct. It is a cube. However, for the purposes of what we're going to do in art class, I really want you to strive to learn how to make a cube in the way that I'm teaching. And the reason is, if you're drawing a house or a truck or a cereal box or a mailbox, doesn't matter what it is as long as it's a cube. Okay, now notice here, this line went out longer, but I went parallel. So this way, my angles are going to the left, which would not be a 45-degree angle. It would be a, someone help me. Nobody's helping me. Where are you guys? Come on. Anyway, so if we're making cubes like this, then when we add details, we have to erase all of these interior lines that are not necessary. So if you know how to make a cube like this, that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'd like you to practice making cubes using these techniques. So get a nice straight square to start with. Angle, all three the same. Vertical line, horizontal line. Doesn't really matter which one you do first. That's lesson 1 with a cube. Be patient with yourself. Take a break. Deep breath. Imperfect progress. This one takes time. Fearless effort, you guys. Have fun.